Let's see. That might help a little bit. Let's see. Do we have some folks checking in? No viewers yet. One viewer. All right, viewer. Welcome, one viewer. If the viewer that just checked in can tell me if you can hear me, that would be great. That would be awesome. I'm going to turn the volume down on my phone. I am going to log into my Facebook page. Audio is good. Thanks a lot, Chris. I appreciate it. Folks, tonight I'm flying solo, so I'm going to ask you to bear with me. I'm going to try to monitor 2 sites at once, run 2 cameras, and make sure everybody knows what's going on out there. So here we go. All right. Shannon, Kane, Jamie, Jeremy, thanks, buddies. I appreciate it. Whew. Was kind of running around right before we got started and worked up a little sweat, but that's all right. You can't see that. That's one good thing about this. So we'll give everybody a few seconds to get logged in here, and then we'll get started. Looks like we're getting some visitors here fairly quickly. We're up to 29. That's good. Lots of stuff to talk about tonight. Lots of stuff to talk about. It's been a fun couple weeks, and then the weather. We're going to talk weather a little bit too. Lots of stuff happening in Devil's Lake, North Dakota right now. So, let's see, what do we got for time? Oh, 7:03. That's good enough. Let's go ahead and get started. Got a bunch of people logged in here. Looks like we've got 43 viewers, so that's good enough. Let's get started. So, first things first. I've been starting these seminars the last few times out with information about the lake level, so we'll talk about that. Right now, the current water level is 1,449.66 feet above sea level. A month ago today, 1450.04. That's about 4/10, maybe a little bit more, almost a half a foot down in a month. That's really not that unusual, folks. This time of year, the water starts cooling off. The air temperatures are, land temperatures are warmer. We see a lot of fog this time of year, a lot of haze and a lot of evaporation. So not all that big a deal for the water to be down some. It's really not moving the fish anywhere. So that's a good thing. Water temperatures today, 66 to 68 degrees. That is down about 3 or 4 degrees in the last, 3 or 4 days. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And the algae is still out there, and it's still fairly thick, and that's playing into a lot of what's going in on the water right now. So we've got water temperatures falling. It was in the 90s for 3 or 4 days, and the last couple days it's only been in the 60s. Day before, so yesterday, big cold front came through, and high temperature was at midnight, and it steadily dropped throughout the day. 30-mile-an-hour winds, over an inch of rain. So that cooled the water temperature down, and it may have changed the fishing a little bit. Not a whole lot. I did not fish today, but I talked to a couple folks that did. And this morning, the fishing was a little slower. So that's going to happen this time of year. I want to talk about the overall state of the fishery right now. It's still really good. The fish are biting pretty well. Again, after this cold front, maybe a little slow down for a day or two, but man, the fishing has been absolutely phenomenal, and it's only going to get better. We're going to get a little bit of a slowdown here when fall comes. There's no doubt about it. These couple next cold fronts will tell these fish that it's time to get ready for fall. They'll start moving around in all different places. But finally, when fall sets in, the fish will group up and we'll have that incredible fall fishing that we've all been waiting for. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So we know it's got to get worse before it gets better. One great thing, folks, that you're going to love is the fact that boat pressure is gone. I mean, Labor Day weekend was busy. Monday of Labor Day was a ghost town. The storm and weather Tuesday, now here we are Wednesday, looking out my backyard at the lake on Creel Bay. Other than the National Walleye Tour guys that I saw camped out on Rocky Point, there was nothing on Creel Bay today. Very few boats traveled by my house today. So, man, great fishing and an empty lake. How can you go wrong? I don't understand it. If you're not a hunter and you like fall fishing, it's time. The next couple of weeks, this month, is the time to be here. So let's talk quickly the National Walleye Tour today. Those of you that follow Devil's Lake, you guys know that the National Walleye Tour Championship is here, and it was a great day today. Top 10, starting in 10th place, Drake Hurd, 26.07 pounds. Josh Wiesner in 9th, 26.14. Max Wilson in 8th, 28.02. Isaac Lockich, 30.02 in 6th, or 7th. Yeah, 7th. 6th, John Hoyer, trying to get another championship win and Angler of the Year, 30.06. 5th place, Eric McCoy, which I believe has won a championship maybe last year, 30.10. Third, I'm sorry, I got screwed up there. That was 4th. 3rd place, Corey Heiser from Fargo. Great Devil's Lake history here. Won many Masters walleye circuits. Beat me a bunch here at this tournament, or at this lake. 30.15. 2nd place, Dusty Minky. It's good to see Dusty's name back up there near the top. It's been a little bit, but great angler, 31.03. And Matt Schiefelbein, 32.01. 32 pounds. Holy cow, 32 pounds for first place. Matt was in at 8:55 this morning. A younger guy. I don't know Matt all that well, but I'll tell you what, his Facebook social media interview, the dude was pretty jacked up. And he should be. So top 10 over 26 pounds on what everyone said was a little bit of an off day. Folks, those are incredible weights. Those are great fish. A little bit of my insight to those fish, and this is 100% speculation, so nobody throw me under the bus if I'm wrong. Some of you watching may know more about this than I do, but if you do, chime in. 35 boats today went east of Highway 57. 35 boats east of the Casino Bridge. I saw the other 6 at Rocky Point first thing this morning. So they're out there east. A lot of big weight east. Although, and I'm not going to say who I saw, but some of these top 10 names I did see on Rocky Point for part of the time through my binoculars. So it was confirmed. That's kind of cool. East. I have not fished one day this summer east of the casino. So that tells you what's going on. Now, I'm not fishing for these big fish, but there's fish all over the lake. From what I could tell, the guys on Rocky Point, and again, I'm watching through binoculars, can't see perfectly. They seem to all be using forward-facing sonar, looking for the pods of fish scattered around the deeper rock on Rocky Point, and sniping or casting to pods of fish. I'm assuming with big baits, glide baits, jigging wraps, shiver minnows, Johnny darters. There might be some spoons. There might be some big jigs in plastic, but it seemed like they were looking for those deep fish and making casts to those fish, or possibly vertically jigging as they moved around the areas. Very, very common for the fall for big fish. So that's the National Walleye Tour. Now remember, folks, they're here Thursday and Friday as well. So tomorrow they will cut after tomorrow to the top 10 that will fish on Friday. The weigh-ins are out at Grams Island State Park. If you want to come see what's going on, ask these guys questions, get your butts up here and go check out that tournament. These are the best guys in the business. They kicked my butt all over the country for a lot of years. Really, really good anglers. Come on out and see what they do here in Devil's Lake. I know I'm watching like a hawk because I don't target those large fish as a fishing guide, and it would be fun every now and again to get out there and target those large fish. So that's the National Walleye Tour Championship. That's about all I've got to say about that. So let's get into now talking about what's going on Devil's Lake. So, pattern that I have been fishing the last few days, actually the entire last week. Couple things. I have not done anything other than pull a bottom bouncer and a spinner around. I'm using a 2-ounce bottom bouncer everywhere I go, and I'm catching fish from 6 feet of water to 30 feet of water on the same 2-ounce bottom bouncer, the spinners I'm going to show you, and the Berkeley Gulp I'm going to show you. So, first pattern, weed edges. Find green weeds, you will find walleye. 6, 8, 10 feet of water off the edges, mostly mud, but if you find some gravel off the edge of those weeds, oh my goodness, that's the double whammy, and it's really been good. Really been good. And this is all over the lake. I'm not just going to one spot. Several different weed patches, very different, varying depths. They all are holding fish. So let me get this other camera fired up here. I'm going to switch cameras and I'm going to show you the spinners that I'm using. Max Smile Blades. I'll get them in there so we can see them a little better. I know, folks, it might be a little hard. I can't zoom in much more. This first color right here is called UV Glow Burst. It's a mother of pearl. UV, glows in the dark. Lots of color in it. This next one is called UV Purple Haze. Very similar to Glow Burst. The camera's not doing it justice right now. Also UV does not glow in the dark, but it's got a little more purplish hint to it. The last one right here is gold scale. Gold with black scale, right? Those three colors, absolutely on fire. What am I fishing behind them? UV Glow Burst, white, pearl white gulp. 3 or 4 white beads, pearl white gulp minnows. That's behind the UV Glow Burst. Second combination, UV Purple Haze with this. It's called Starry Night. Let me see if I can get that to focus a little better for you. Nope, that didn't do it. There we go. Starry Night. It's a new gulp color. You might have to look for it. It's translucent. It's got some purple glitter in it. Kind of a smelty looking color with a dark back. But that purple matched with that purple blade, I'm telling you right now, that combination, 3 or 4 small purple beads in a single hook, that's killing it. And then the last color combination with the gold spinner and this color right here, it's called Pyrite Shiner. It's another new color. It's literally metallic gold flake. It looks like it's metal, all right? Again, 3 or 4 gold beads behind that spinner, single hook, and this Pyrite Shiner. So before I switch from the camera, I get asked a lot about the hooks I'm using. I am using these Mustad hooks right here, and I'm going to take one out of the package. I'll show you the package right there. It says on the package bait holder sliced shank. They do not have the bent eye. Okay, it's a straight-eyed hook. If I hold it just right, maybe you can see, I don't know, I don't think you can see the bait holders. These are just like we used when we were kids for bluegills, only smaller. This is a size 1/0. I like a size number 1 as well. The whole key to the system, folks, is threading. We want to thread the bait onto that hook, just like you're fishing a lead head jig, right? You want to thread it up on there. Don't hook it once in the nose. They're going to pull it right off. Thread it up on the hook. Now, the gulp is giving me some incredible advantages, folks, right now. You miss a bite, you leave it down there, it's almost inevitable they come back. I'm catching 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fish on a piece of gulp. Different colors are more or less durable because of what the pigment does to the actual gulp, but man, half a dozen fish is pretty much given on a piece of gulp, so that's working really, really well. And then I don't have worms in my boat. I don't have to carry a cooler. I don't have mud and dirt all over the floor. You can call me out if you want, but look on my Facebook page. Call my guide clients. I don't care. I have not had a night crawler in my boat this year. I have not had one night crawler in my boat, folks, in Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Now, I get it. The folks at Pete's and Ed's and Ace Hardware that sell worms probably don't like to hear me say that, but they all sell gulp too. And you want to know what 3 colors have gotten really, really hard to get in Devil's Lake? I bet you can figure it out, can't you? White, smelty colors, and gold. They're all getting really tough to get. I've actually got messages on my Facebook pages saying, Johnny, quit telling people about the gulp because we can't find it. So it's been kind of fun fishing the gulp, and I'm doing really well. Now, if you're not a Max Smile Blade guy, that's okay. You don't have to be, or gal, I should say. I'm doing really good on hammered gold spinners with the gold behind it. I'm also doing really well on hammered silver spinners. Behind the metal spinner, though, especially the silver one, I'm going to switch cameras again. I've been using this. It is a 3-inch minnow grub. Yes, it's a curly tail behind a spinner. The metal spinners do not create the wobble and the vibration at 1 mile an hour that the Smile Blades do. So the baits don't wiggle back and forth, right? When I'm using that Smile Blade, there's a lot of wiggle in that minnow as it's going through the water. The metal spinners don't provide that. So putting the curly tail on there really seems to give a lot more action. And the other day, I had a young lady in my boat from Iowa. She outfished the other 2 of us in the boat, probably 3 or 4 to 1 with the metal spinner and this grub. But us 2 men were hard-headed and didn't want to switch. You guys know how that goes, right? So bottom bouncers and spinners on weed edges, that's what I'm pulling. Now, I'm also pulling those same bottom bouncers and spinners down flooded road beds. The world famous Golden Highway, pumping them out. It is. Flooded roads in Pelican Lake, pumping them out. Flooded roads in the main lake, pumping them out. I'm sure flooded roads over east, although I haven't been there, are pumping the fish out. Most of the flooded road beds in Devil's Lake are somewhere between 10 and 15 feet of water. Some days they're up on the top. Other days they're down in the ditch. It seems like first thing in the morning, regardless of the conditions, they're up on top. Dead flat, calm days with sun, they seem to slide off the top of the road and down into the ditch eventually. But man, if you've got side imaging or 360 or any of that stuff, following a road ditch is really easy. Again, tons and tons of walleyes on flooded roads. And then the last place I've been pulling the exact same spinner and gulp combinations are on the old Devil's Lake shoreline. And boy, doesn't that sound like a broken record. If you follow me on Facebook, if you've been to these seminars, listen to my radio fishing reports here in Devil's Lake, you've heard flooded or old Devil's Lake shoreline for weeks and weeks and weeks. Those fish have not left. And actually, I'm guessing some of these fish from the National Walleye Tour are also on the old Devil's Lake shoreline but they're focusing more where there's large concentrations of rock, right? And you can do that with your spinners too. I've caught several in the last couple of weeks, 25, 26, 27 inches. Again, you see them on the internet, on my reports, trolling a spinner, catching 14 to 20s, and then all of a sudden you get one big one a day, and it's been a lot of fun. So that's the bottom bouncer and spinner thing, okay? The next way folks are catching is trolling crankbaits. They're trolling crankbaits in the exact same areas that I just mentioned, pulling bottom bouncers and spinners. Along weed edges, number 5, Salmo hornets, number 5, flicker shads, number 5, shad wraps, number 5, number 7, jointed shad wraps, but 5, 5, 5, and then throw in a 7. Right now, the bait they're spitting up is not really big. It's about the size of a number 5, right? So that's what we want. I only brought hornets with me today to show some colors. You guys can pick your own favorite colors, but if I had to pick right there, chrome and blue, slam dunk color, right? Perch. How do you go wrong with perch when they're spitting perch up in your live well? White bass, perch. Oh, I said white bass? Well, there you go. There's an all white with some black stripe Salmo hornet. And then here's another kind of a hotter perch color, holographic perch color. I would throw a fire tiger in there somewhere as well. And I apologize, I did not bring a fire tiger crankbait with me. I think most of you guys know what that is. But you can long line any number 5 or any number 7 on a weed edge and get it down 5, 6, 8, 10 feet, right? Berkeley fire line, any kind of braid, Power Pro, spider wire, any of that stuff. Let it out till it hits the bottom, crank it up a little bit. Use your precision trolling apps on your phone. Get that bait down close to the bottom and follow the weed edges. 2 miles an hour, you're going to catch them. Flooded roads, same thing, right down the top. You don't need lead core on most of the flooded roads in Devil's Lake, although I use it when I get into that 10, 12, 14 feet of water. And then the old lake shoreline, lead core, lead core, lead core, 160, 170, 180 feet. Get down there 20, 25, maybe even 28 feet of water and drag those same lures around. Now, as fall comes along, you're going to want to start paying attention to the size of bait that you're seeing these fish spit out. When they get up to that size 7, switch, right? You want to target larger fish, put a bigger lure on. It'll eliminate a lot of the small ones. So 5s and 7s, trolling crankbaits, same places. Last technique that I'm going to say a lot of people are focusing on is vertically jigging or sniping, casting short casts with glide baits. If you had to pick the granddaddy of them all, it is the jig and wrap, right? There it is. Number 9 jig wrap. I do not own a number 7 anymore. I've gotten rid of every one I've had. I'm using all number 9s. They get down faster. I can cast them further. They move farther. So again, colors. Well, you can probably guess what I'm going to show you. I've got a white one, chrome and blue, fire tiger, and this is for my buddy Jay that usually helps me out that's not here tonight. UV green, one of my favorites. Now, perch colors work really good as well. There's a lot of other colors that people will catch on. I'm not trying to say they're not, but those are the colors, if I had to pick 3 or 4, I'm going to go with right there. Those are the ones that day in and day out, I catch the most fish on. So yeah, works. Those are the ones that work really well for me. Where do we fish these? Again, rocky concentrations. You're going down a shoreline, flooded shoreline, old school shoreline, and it's gravel, 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 and all of a sudden there's 10 boulders there. Well, that's where I'd throw a jig wrap. It's down in Fort Totten Bay. That's a great place. Rocky Point is a great place. There's some rocks in the north end of Creel Bay. Those are great places. North end of 6 Mile Bay, there's a lot of jig wrap water. East Devil's Lake, over by the pumping station, there's a lot of good jig wrap water over there too. So Find those concentrations of deeper boulders, big rocks, put a jig wrap down there. You're going to catch a lot of fish. So that's the three main tactics and the three main water depths. Again, weed edges, flooded roads, old lake shoreline. But there are some things that I'm going to speculate are going to happen here coming up pretty soon. And when they do, we're going to get to change our fishing tactics quickly. I don't know if it'll happen this week or next week or the week after next, but it's coming because fall is coming. As the water starts to cool, the days continually get shorter, the weeds are going to start to die. When the weeds die, there's a lot of fish that are going to go look for a new home. They will stay in the green weeds as long as they can, so the remaining green weeds will get better and better and better. But a lot of fish will start to trickle out. Where do they go? They go to the first deep rock structure. So, for example, the weeds in and around Knutson Bay, the Three Crosses, New Mill Bay, and down into Fort Totten Bay start to die. As they die, where do those fish go? They slide right out to Cactus Point, Fort Totten Point, Bird Island. Those are incredible fall fishing spots in the main bay. It's going to happen soon. When it does, be ready for it. The other thing that happens as the water cools off is fish make what has been called over the years a false spawning run. There will be a period of time this fall when the water gets down in the 50-degree range where they'll go to the exact same places they were when the water was 50 degrees this spring. So, gravel, rocky, shallow shorelines. 2 winters ago, 2 falls ago, not last year because I was in Florida before this happened, but 2 falls ago, late November, mid to late November, trolling lead core, couldn't get the bite to happen. Good friend and I went up shallow. We put a jerk bait on and a swim bait on and started casting some rocky shorelines that I like to fish in the spring. I caught a 28-incher on my 3rd cast. The jerk bait went dead. My buddy with the swim bait caught 4 nice 18 to 22-inch fish right away. And I'm like, wow, they want it really slow. So, big pro tip coming right here. I grabbed a Ned rig. And I will bring a Ned rig to the next seminar because I think this is going to get better then than it is now. I don't have one to show you. But a Ned rig is nothing more than a mushroom-shaped jig head and about a 3-inch piece of plastic with no tail. It looks like a cigarette or a cigar butt, about 3 inches long. And the material I use is the Z-Man. It's Elastec. It floats. So that jig stands up. It stands up. It hits the bottom and it stands up and wiggles and you drag it and it sits there and you drag it and it sits there. But for 4 days in a row, right before ice up, I absolutely hammered the walleyes in 3 to 8 feet of water, casting jigs and swim baits, jigs and Ned rigs, some jerk baits, slow crank baits, and we did really, really well. That's coming. Don't put the casting stuff away. Even the fish I'm catching now on weed edges, I fully believe you could go in there and cast crankbaits or cast jigs and catch them. You just won't cover the water as fast as you are with a bottom bouncer and a spinner. So that's what's coming. The lead core bite's going to get better. The steeper and deeper breaks will be the best places. The old lake shoreline's going to stay good right up till freeze up. So that's what I got. So once again, before I take a look here at some questions and answers, water level 1449.66, water temperatures mid to upper 60s, 66 to 68. Lots of algae still in the water, so don't worry about the bright suns keeping the fish deeper. Things are looking good. The bite is strong. Again, National Walleye Tour is here Thursday through Friday. Some other events, if you're coming to Devil's Lake, maybe you want to check out. The Shootout Rodeo is up at the Burdick Arena Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 350 competitors signed up to compete in a rodeo. That's pretty cool. September 14th, I think that's a Friday night, is the Wine Walk, downtown Devil's Lake. Stained, I guess that's a rock and roll band, I don't know, is at the casino on the 15th of September. And looking ahead, October 20th, Rodney Carrington, I think they call him the Singing Cowboy, is coming to the casino as well. So those are the events coming up. So I'm going to hit some questions here real quick. If you have some questions, get them fired in here, because we're not going to stay online real long after I answer these questions. Leo Rickmers. Will there be boats to rent anywhere when the weather cools? Leo, I'm only speculating if I say this, but the folks at Woodland Resort are pretty in touch with the angling community. I believe they know people like to fish into the fall, and I believe they will have some boat rentals available. The casino is the one that I might think would put theirs away a little bit earlier than anyone else. But I think Woodland Resort, you'd probably be all right. Now I'm going to go look on my Facebook page here. Let's see, I've got loud and clear, can't wait for fall fishing. Wow, I need some. I'm not sure what that is all about. Oh, I think I got hacked. Brielle Linda, I think she's looking for a date. Shane Schlenk, what pound test are you using to prevent twisting of the line for smile blades, or is that caused by going too fast? Shane, that's a really good question, buddy. Shane's a good friend of mine. I see him out here a lot. I am using 15-pound fluorocarbon leaders, and I am not having any trouble with line twist. And I think you're spot on that the speed definitely has something to do with that, but the heavier line is not going to twist as much. And I'm not using a special swivel either. I'm just putting it right on my bottom bouncer swivel. They're usually fairly cheap because I don't spend a lot of money on bottom bouncers. So yes, Shane, great question. That's an awesome question. 15-pound test. It's not keeping me from getting bites at all and catching plenty of fish. Let's see, Jeremy Solberg. For me, I've noticed that the fish I'm catching the last couple of weeks are smaller in size. That's what I've been, are smaller in size than what I've been catching earlier this spring or summer. Is that because of the algae? Also, I feel I wouldn't want to pull crankbaits if the fish are not as active, which tells me to pull smile blades or metal spinners to keep the lure in the strike zone longer. What are your thoughts? So, smaller in size. Jeremy, I don't think the size has anything to do with the algae. Every day seems to be a different day. I will say that the last couple of weeks, it has been a little tougher to find the 17 to 19s instead of the 14 to 17s. That happens every year at about this time, sometimes sooner, the dog days of summer. We didn't have the heat that we normally have, so I think it just pushed it off a little bit more. The other thing you got to remember is right now is a really tough time to fish because there's been a bait fish explosion, right? Everything that hatched this spring right now is food, and those bigger fish have a lot of natural food to chase down. 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, the bigger size fish, those 17, 19, 20, 21 inchers, they didn't want to eat shrimp anymore, and they didn't want to eat real little minnows. So when they saw one of our bigger baits, they would come out and eat our big baits instead of the little baits. So right now, I really think that part of what's going on is there's a lot of bait that's the right size for the bigger fish, and they don't have to eat ours. Also feel that I wouldn't want to pull crankbaits if the fish are not as active, which tells me to pull smile blades or metal spinners, and not crankbaits. You're right. If you find a day where the fish are a little off, then don't pull a crankbait, right? Keeping the bait in the strike zone longer is a good thing. But I'm telling you, the last week or so, these fish have been fired up, and they'll hit a crankbait. Lauren Miller, how do you fish a stock pond? For those of you that aren't familiar with what a stock pond is, Devil's Lake has a lot of them underwater right now. A stock pond is a a dugout. You had a big pasture. Rancher, farmer kept livestock out in the field. They needed to water them, so they would dig a hole and put a pile next to the hole. So they dig a hole, pile, dig a hole, pile. So you had a deep hole with piles on both sides where they dug it and set it. The cows could come in and drink, and over time when the lake flooded, all the loose sediment from those piles washed away, and all that's left there is hard bottom. Gravel, maybe some small rock, sand, but all the clay and stuff has washed away. So you've got two nice hard bottom areas next to a deep hole. A couple ways to fish those. Bobber fishing is really good in the summertime. I'll spot lock on top of them and then throw bobbers out and cover them that way. You can pull spinners up and over them, around them if they're bigger. If they're real small, you kind of get vertigo. You get a little dizzy going in circles. Or you can cast to them. Some of them are shallow enough you can stay off the edge and pitch a jig up on top. But those stock ponds are really, really, really good places to look for fish, and they'll hold fish into the fall too. So let me see here. I think I had a couple messages. Let me see if I can find them. Let's see. Oh, I must have said something I shouldn't have. I don't know what I said, but I'll check that out later. I'm sorry if I offended someone. I don't know what I might have said. But anyways, maybe it was a comment about the NWT. I don't know. Just said where I saw some guys fishing today. I really doubt that anybody's listening to this podcast and is going to go fish one of those spots. I urge you not to. But if I offended someone, I'm really sorry. I just thought people would like to know where they're seeing boats. And I did not mention anyone's name that was fishing out there too. So Kurt, I apologize. I think that's who sent that message to me. I apologize, Kurt, if that's what I did. I'm not trying to cause any kind of trouble there at all. So once again, my apologies. But no, it's going to be a good fall. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to catch a lot of fish. So let's get out there. Let's enjoy the lake. Again, come on over. Check out the NWT weigh-ins. That should be a good time. Lots of big fish going to be caught. And again, I'm speculating how they're doing it, where they're doing it, folks. I can't tell you anything because I wasn't out there today. All I know is what I saw from my house through binoculars. So yeah, it's a good time. It's going to be fun. Thanks for tuning in. The next and last seminar is the first Wednesday of October. Let me look here if I can find my calendar, and I'll tell you when that seminar is. October the 4th will be the last Devil's Lake Live seminar of the year, and we'll have lots of stuff to talk about. Oh, one more question. Do you try pulling crankbaits first, and if fish aren't active, then try spinners? Dave Luker asked me that question. Dave, yes, that would work. Crankbaits are definitely going to cover the weed edge a little bit faster. I understand that. You're going to cover it a little quicker, but I haven't been doing that. I've been pulling into weed beds where I feel really confident there's fish and just pulling spinners, and at 1.1 miles an hour, I'm covering that ground fairly well also. So again, folks, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to wish everybody great luck, great fall fishing. Please come on up to Devil's Lake. If you have any questions, you can post them in the comments here. I check these tomorrow and the next day. I'll do the best I can to answer. You can also private message me on my Facebook page, Johnnie Candle Professional Angler, and I will do all I can to help anybody get up here and catch a bunch of fish. In the meantime, farewell. Have a great night. So long.